So this is a quick one. We're going to go through the most important metric for your potential growth, which is the customer acquisition cost to customer lifetime gross profit ratio. So you will have had a breakdown of each of these terminologies that are included in that, the acronyms, in the stage 1 metrics workbook, but we'll just go through them again, so because they're extremely important and it's good to remind people. So CAC is customer acquisition cost. So this is the amount of money it costs for a business to acquire one customer. If you wanted to figure this out for yourself, if you haven't already, that's taking your marketing budget and dividing it by the amount of customers it brought in that time frame. Or if you wanted to be a bit more technical, you would add up all of the resources and costs to acquiring a certain amount of customers, and you would divide it by that number of customers. So that would include things like paid advertising costs, salaries for sales staff, marketing manager, freelancers, etc., etc., etc. Add those all up and divide it by the amount of customers you had in that time frame. The next important aspect to understand here is customer lifetime value. So this is the total amount of money you expect to get from each customer that you acquire. So this can be spread out across their entire lifetime. So you can kind of take the amount of times that they are going to make a purchase from you per year and times that by however long you think that they will be purchasing that product for. So gross profit margin, or gross profit percentage as it reads here, is how much of each pound earned from sales actually remains after you've paid off the costs of the goods sold. So this is a little easier to do with product-based businesses rather than service-based businesses, but it's perfectly possible for both. Product-based businesses, you take your revenue and you minus the cost of the product that you spent to get that revenue. With services, you have to add up the staff hours as well as the expenses that come along with that to fulfill the service. So whether that's consumables, whether it's products that are damaged over time, equipment that's damaged over time, you have to add all of that and take it off of your revenue, and you will be left with your gross profit. So a gross profit margin is the percentage that you are left with of the whole revenue pie. So let's take that one step further, and you'll take the customer lifetime value and you can times that by the gross profit percentage to get your customer lifetime gross profit, CLGP. Hopefully this has all been clear up to this point. That should be a nice defined set of metrics now. And now I'll explain to you why that's important and the actual ratio itself. So the CAC to CLGP ratio is a rough benchmark framework so that we know that we're on track to a profitable business. For example, if your cost of acquiring a customer is £100 and that customer in their lifetime is going to bring you £200 worth of gross profit, the ratio would be 1 to 2, and therefore it would fall under this kind of benchmark metric that we're all aiming for. Now, every business is different. We understand that. So this is just what marketers use as kind of a benchmark, and this can be adjusted along the way. But if you have a ratio that is better than 1 to 3, meaning 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6 plus, then you have plenty of room in your margins to pay for all other business expenses that come along the way. If you have a ratio worse than this, it is possible that once you've started to pay for premises and you're paying utility bills and you're paying for new staff and everything that comes along with building a business, you could be moving too close to breaking even and eventually into a loss, that your ratio was not healthy enough to sustain the growth of a small business. Whereas if your customer acquisition cost was £100 and your customer lifetime gross profit is £300 plus, then you're on the correct side of the ratio. And we're just trying to make this number as big as we can. So we want it to say a ratio of 1 to 20, preferably. That would be amazing. And that would mean that you've got plenty of room to spend on all the other things in your business in order to push it forwards as quickly as possible. So I suggest you calculate this ratio for yourself, and as months roll on, when those figures change, I would recalculate and watch it grow over time, and that is the main metric that you'll need to change in order to get a fast growing business. Along with this document, there is a link to an online calculator, so you can type in your customer acquisition cost and you can type in your CLTV, and it will give you that ratio. However, here at Grow, we suggest you take it a little bit further and we calculate the gross profit percentage rather than the customer lifetime value, because everybody's margins are different, and with the CLGP, that kind of takes in the difference in margins here and levels the playing field, whereas the customer lifetime value, you could get a ton of revenue in, have really slim margins, and it would give you a bit of a false read in here. So we include the gross profit as well. Hope that's all nice and clear, and we'll be checking in every few months or so to watch that metric improve.